Yeah, sounds good.
We're doing a little sound check here. We're getting ready to start a special report from DroneNation. Sound check, Marcus. Sound check.
Checkmate King 2. This is White Rook over.
You sound beautiful, and I don't even have a set. This isn't going to be a long one, folks. And I don't even have a second screen going, Marcus. So anyhow, we're just gonna roll with it. So let's start the official show here. Um, 1, 2, 3, go. This is a Drone Nation special report. I know we have the big show coming up tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we had to get this news out right away to you, good folks. Last night around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I got reports in from various people that Brian Kushner, I believe is how you pronounce his last name, and Lauren Donner both hit me up with Facebook messages, or should I say, well, I won't say a secret name, hit me up with Facebook messages alerting me of a new app update for the Mavic 3 drone. So I downloaded the app quickly, and of course, it led to a firmware update that talk about the big one or the one that includes everything but the kitchen sink. This one kind of, I mean, I know we were kind of expecting this, Marcus, but this still kind of floored me a little bit with everything they packed in this update. What was your initial reaction?
Yeah, well, the thing is, we knew something was, well, I'm not going to say we knew. I'm going to say we hoped that something would be coming. And yeah, John, it is absolutely firmware nation.
Firmware
We are
Nation.
we are all firmware all the time. And you know what? I just show up and smile. It's
Yeah, welcome in, John and Mike. Thanks for joining us.
uh, John and I have been joking about firmware lately, so that's kind of what that's about. A little bit of an insider joke. But the thing is, they, like you said, they kind of handed us the kitchen sink, and we knew the big one. Well, we had hoped that the big one was coming. And there's something in that update for everybody. I think, Ron. I mean, almost everything that I can see that anybody asked for is in this in this update. Now I've got some news on top of that, Ron.
Oh,
In
more
addition,
breaking news.
more breaking news. In addition to that, after you and I spoke yesterday evening, I fired up the little Nano Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and it took another update. It had a significant update as well. So I've got batteries charged on the Nano Plus, batteries charged on the Mavic 3, and they're all updated. I stayed up and got everything updated and ready to go. So,
Wow. Hey, I
yeah.
want to bring up a point John Coopy mentioned here about fixes. Now, what we don't know, Marcus, is whether this addressed any of the key issues that were, original Dobo's concern last Monday night. It says bug fixes, but it doesn't specifically say anything about satellites. It doesn't specifically say anything about horizon tilt, and it doesn't say anything about connection issues. So we cannot confirm yet that any of these issues have been addressed.
Well, one of his biggest issues, and I am looking for it here. Yeah, added color display assist for D-Log, and that is one of the things that he brought up is that he was talking about when he was in Hawaii and he was shooting for that movie that the director kept wanting to see what his shots would look like in color, and he couldn't do that. He was showing him just the flat
The
log
flat
profile on
profile
his
that let the
display.
log shows you, yeah, and that was
Right.
also a big a request of our friend Lon Denard. He said he may have been joking, but he said he wasn't even going to use log until they added that kind of that LUT that brings that where you can see on your screen the full the full color
Well, at
profile
least
of
an
what the log would
approximation.
see.
Yeah. Yeah. At
Yeah.
least an approximation.
So,
Right.
so I mean, and that was a feature that was in the Air 2S. So this isn't a new feature of DJI. It was just missing from the Mavic 3 drone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't remember if that feature was on the Mavic 2 Pro or not, but it was definitely on the Air 2S. Now, I want to backtrack a little bit. We did say this added everything, but again, it is one thing that is still missing, I believe, and we haven't tried yet. It was anyhow, it's not in the show in the liner notes. Waypoints.
Yeah. So I don't, you wonder if because that's something that DJI has left out of many, many, many drones,
especially at launch.
especially at launch. And I
I
remember
was
that
in the Mavic 2 Pro did not get it. I mean, it was, I think, more than a year in before it showed up.
yeah, it was quite a ways. It was quite a ways in before the Mavic 2 got it. And I'll be honest with you, Ron, I never messed around with it much, but
Yeah.
people that I spoke to said that it wasn't as comprehensive as what they would have liked. So they didn't please anybody with the
Yeah,
Mavic
yeah.
2.
I mean, the key thing about that, putting that in there, that when the SDK kit gets announced, then the mapping companies
Yeah.
can use it. As long as they got the SDK, it doesn't matter what DJI put in their version of waypoints. They can do whatever they want in their version. Then people that fly enterprise, that's key to having your drone be part of like air. I can't even name one of those mapping apps, but there's a whole bunch of
Right.
enterprise mapping apps that people need this feature to run a professional business.
Yeah, because they run a program when they're mapping a piece of property or so forth. Yeah, it is kind of interesting. I can tell you probably the things that interest me the most, Ron.
Yeah. Well, what's top on your bullet list?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the fact that they're sharpening up the zoom on the zoom lens
Oh yeah.
is a big deal to me. So I'm tickled about that. And then obviously, I like messing around with those automated features, so I'm glad to see quick shots. Although that's not
Droney has arrived, Marcus.
the automated droney has arrived, but as honestly, those things we've seen them all before from the mini drones on. So
So let
it's
me
not
ask you.
that big a deal. But
I want to stop your roll here, but I want to dig down on the Droney feature now. On the automated Droney features, at least from DJI, does it like can you lock it in on yourself that it keeps you in the point of interest that the Droney's pulling back?
yes,
Okay, so that's a
yeah,
big advantage over the manual that it can keep you in the center of the Droney.
right.
Okay,
Yeah, that's a big deal. The
yeah.
other thing that I think is pretty cool is the panorama modes capturing in high resolution. So that's something that I am anxious to try out. Uh, you know, uh, D-Log for focus track. Although I just am looking here, they're adding zoom for focus track, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh wow.
But one of the most important ones to me, I think, is the fact that they did do some work to that zoom. So I'm anxious to check it out. They said the telephoto camera they did some work on. So I mean, we'll
I
have
mean,
to look.
the telephone. We've talked about this a lot. People say it's good for search and rescue, but not for recording videos. So that'll be a big surprise if that's more usable. And I think there's even more. It. Well, let me just read down some of the show notes here real fast, and maybe this will dig a little deeper. I'm getting all this from Drone DJ. Okay, I'm going to run down these, Marcus, and you just stop me if you want to. Elaborate on something, okay?
You got it.
It adds quick shots, including droney, rocket, circle, helix, boomerang, and asteroid. And correct me if I'm wrong, Marcus, that's the full gambit that's on like the Air 2S.
Yeah, I don't see anything new there. Yeah, that's the typical
But it
things.
doesn't leave anything out as one of the, I
Right.
guess, yeah, okay. Good. Okay, here you touched on this. It adds panorama mode capable of capturing in high resolution. And as of right now, we have no pano mode. Or as of last night, we had no pano mode
That's
at
that's
all.
right.
Yeah. And now we
Yeah,
get
I
high
don't.
resolution. So we
If
just don't get JPEGs.
right.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. I always enjoy those panorama modes. They get,
Yeah.
you
And
know,
that'll
the,
make the professionals happy too that they can get high resolution ones. Before, I
right.
think your only option was if you were a professional, you could just, you could, I think you could shoot in JPEG and RAW, and you could save the RAWs and do it yourself, but it would only automatically do with the JPEG files.
Yeah, you'd have to stitch them together yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it adds burst shooting, and what that means is that's in the photo mode that it will take a burst of I think it would be adjustable, a burst of photos. And why you won't take a burst of photos? Say you had action happening. Say you can't shoot at Yellowstone Park, but say you were at Yellowstone and Old Yeller was about to erupt, and you didn't know exactly what was going to happen, so you could just keep taking the burst photos, so you would get it one way or another.
So I was going to ask you about that. So I was thinking in the lines of sports and things like that.
The
Of course,
same thing, yeah. Like
yeah,
if you were at a whatever, a football game, you didn't know when they were going to run ball, you would just constantly keep hitting the burst, and the burst would happen every, like, I don't know, like microseconds, so you would get the action.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So not not a I would say not a big deal in a drone, but I guess some people have use cases for something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. Hey, I
So,
see a guy in the chat that's going to be happy to see this, and that's Chuck Kovaction. So I know he
oh yeah,
was,
Chuck. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Of course, Chuck
concerned about
mostly
that.
wants the bug fix. I think he basically, the Horizon issue is killing him, and the slow satellites. I think I think both of you and I are going to try to get out and do a test flight. And the first three things I'm going to test are satellite acquisition, Horizon, and I don't have the disconnection issue, so I will test it anyway to see if it's been added for me now. But I had two of the three big issues.
Yeah, what I do want to say there though, Ron, is that disconnection issue is a thing because you and I both know enough people that have seen that
Yeah, yeah,
problem
yep,
that
yep.
it's a real
Yeah,
deal.
I'm not saying Tom. I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's going to be hard for me to test it because I didn't have it currently. Just like you don't have the slow satellite thing, so it's going to be hard for
Yeah,
me
and
to test that.
I was just wondering if that's a West Coast, East Coast thing. That's just my working theory. I don't know, Ron. But
I'll try to time my satellite acquisition today. So I can tell you exactly. It's like whatever 2 minutes and 2 seconds, or rather all I can do tell you it's slow now. I don't have a
yeah.
thing. But well, hey, let's get back to the things because let's run down through them all here. Okay, we just did the burst shooting. Okay, as digital zoom to normal video mode. What do you think that means, Marcus? And I say that because we know it. We know we just talked about digital with that extra camera, but we had digital zoom in the regular camera before,
Okay,
did we not?
here's what I think. I believe what they're saying. We're gonna have to go out and test it, but I believe what that means is, remember how we had to put it in Explorer mode to zoom
Mm-hmm. Oh
in.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yep, yep.
So I don't know, but I'm conjecting that maybe you just wouldn't have to do that. You could function button with the scroll wheel and zoom
And
to your heart's
prevent you
content.
from have to stop the video to enter into zoom mode.
That's a good point because you had to stop the video to switch. Then you had to switch into
And
that
that would be a
mode.
big
So
deterrent if you were trying to zoom in on some action happening right now, and by the time you did all that switching, the action could most likely be over.
yeah, that's a great point. And so here's, I'll bet you what they're saying is exactly what you said. You don't have to. You probably won't have to shut off video. You may still have to touch that Explorer mode on the screen.
So you may
But
only need to touch Explorer mode to go into the secondary camera.
oh, okay,
I
yeah,
mean, maybe folks,
yeah,
this is all speculation on Marcus and I part. At this point, we have not tested this in the field yet.
yeah.
And we cannot, a lot of these new features we cannot test until the drone's in the air. So we can't test them at the desktop. Okay, we already covered the next one. The color display assist for D-Logs. We kind of hashed that out already. So that's a good thing. Okay, next one. As 4K 60 frames per second and manual exposure index, EEL, adjustments for master shots.
You got to explain to me what that is, Rod. So I understand the 4K 60 part, but
I don't understand what the exposure index adjustment
yeah,
means either. So that is something we will have to get more information on. I don't know what that means either. But I guess in master shots, I guess before it was limited to 4K 30.
it must have been. I'll be honest with you, Ron. I didn't pay that
Yeah,
much attention.
yeah,
Well, it
yeah. I
was.
just
In
hit.
fact, it was. It was 4K 30.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember I had that.
yeah.
I had a problem with master shots. Mine always kind of went haywire. So be anxious to see if it fixes it
that I can tell you why that's probably important. And well, and you know this, as the drone's moving around, you want that higher frame rate so you don't catch as much of that. You get sharper movement.
That's in something like that. Maybe you don't want a lot of not
Blur,
really motion
right?
blur, but you don't want a lot of skips. You want to visually be able to see the skips between the frames, and maybe that
Right.
exposure index helps also. Okay, so next one is adds quick transfer, and we haven't talked about this yet on the air, but we talked about this a little bit last night, Marcus. I'll let you elaborate on this.
So I assume they're talking about wireless quick transfer, so that you could. So if you were out in the field and you were editing on your iPad, I can see how that would be a huge deal.
Yeah, and we don't know if it's wireless, but even if it was wired quick transfer, I don't know. I've never plugged my computer into the drone yet, but I know that you could plug the Air 2S into the computer, and you could just the files just zip over there much faster than doing it by the memory card.
That's a good point, Ron.
I
That
don't
maybe
know if
that's
it's wireless or not, but even if it's wired, it's still a good thing.
yeah. And the thing is, I always just yank out the card and do that. So
I do too out of
yeah,
habit, but but if you've ever tried it, it's faster.
yeah, I
Because what it is,
haven't. So
when you plug your drone into your computer, it's just like an external hard drive on USB-C.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's something we're going to investigate too. It won't be the first thing I investigate, but we will down the road. Okay,
Yeah.
add zoom and D-log for focus track when recording a video. So explain to us what focus track is again.
Well, Focus Track is that whole suite of tracking that DJI puts in there. That
Right,
includes spotlight mode
active track.
and active track and point of interest.
Yes,
Uh,
that's the three musketeers of focus track. Yes,
right, and nobody does that like DJI. It is,
and as far as I know, the Air 2S, had all this, and say the Mavic 2 Pro, but it did not offer. I don't think either of them offered zoom or D-log for the focus track mode. So this is like to be a first.
yeah, and the Zoom should be interesting. So that's probably one we should take note of and kind of mess around with. In
Yeah,
that,
and before without D-Log in there, say some of the pros may not use Focus Track because they want to get, they really want to record in D-Log so they can, do their edits. So now this will be a feature that's more attractive to, we'll say, quote, cinematic filmmaker pros.
right? Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So,
that's a big
this is
one.
something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
Okay, add support to set return to home altitude for advanced return to home. And you and I, well, I checked this in the app last night. What this does is it returns the old-fashioned return to home to the drone, but now you can switch between the new intelligent return to home or back to the old school. And Chuck wanted his old-fashioned return to home back. So it's
I
back
know a
now.
lot of people have been complaining about that. I've
Yeah,
seen some pretty extraordinary tests of people using that intelligent return to home, and it found them every time. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it went around trees and everything else. And
yeah.
but
I've seen it as a good thing too, but I
yeah,
like the fact that people that prefer
you
not
have a
to
choice.
now have an option.
Yeah, because I can see situations where you would want to see it just come right above you and come straight down. So yeah, I think that's nothing but good. But I mean, the more options you have, the better, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, add USB mode for the Mavic City 3 for copying data. So neither you and I have the city model, but I'm just speculating what this means is I guess the only way for them to copy data before was to use the internal drive or
I have no idea what that
yeah,
one
yeah.
means, Ron. I
USB
mean,
mode, or maybe that means they can now plug it into their computer. Well, how did
well,
they
but
transfer?
that's what they had to do because of that internal
Oh,
drive. Didn't they have to do that
I thought
anyway?
maybe they had wireless transmission on that, but again, I'm speaking all out of no knowledge at all. I don't have the cine. I know very little about it.
Yeah, yeah. a lot of people have told me that I have no knowledge at all as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. The only thing I know about the singing drone is the price.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah,
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 yeah, it's
yeah.
expensive. Yeah. So,
Mm.
okay, we're going to move on to that since I don't think a lot of our audience is cine people either. Okay, optimizes accuracy of color correction.
Yeah, talk to me, buddy. I got no clue.
Yeah, color correction is usually done off the drone in an editor, so I don't know how that applies, to color correction internally. Maybe they meet on their, how they have their own little app that does
Yeah,
it, or maybe this doesn't mean what we're thinking it means. Maybe it means the drone is correcting the colors as it's recording them.
yeah, yeah,
Because of course, we already talked. D-Log, of course, is a you kind of a, we'll call it unsaturated, raw type of processing where everything's flat. You fix it yourself, but when you put it in standard color mode, it is definitely doing like kind of in camera corrections as much as a JPEG photo. It is basically editing himself. So I guess what they're saying is it's going to the standard color profile will do even a better job handling color. That's just pure guesswork. What
yeah.
I just
Pure
said there.
guesswork. Hey, I see we have a question in the chat that I think we
Go
should
ahead. I
address.
had to get off chat to go to this window, but I'll move back and
Yeah.
highlight it. What's your question?
So Roger Hogan is asking about updating the batteries, and I can just tell you, Roger, when I was doing updating mine last night, I put my second battery in to update it after I did the whole firmware package, and it did not ask to update that second battery. So I don't know.
Well,
How about you, Ron?
I'm going to back you up, Marcus. I updated. I updated first on the regular controller, whatever the standard controller is,
RCN1, yeah.
with battery one, and then I updated the smart controller with battery two in the drone. And when I put the second battery in, it did not ask. It did not ask to do the firmware update on it.
Yeah, that was my experience as well. So
I mean,
yeah.
and that doesn't mean that we won't get out to the field today to fly, and all of a sudden that pops up.
And the thing is, what's the beauty of DJI is even if you do, it'll update that battery. Well, pay attention and look for the dialog box. And I would
Tell them about
urge
how to
you,
get back to that original screen to see it.
yeah, I would urge you if you see that dialog box to go ahead and hit update. But the good thing about it is typically it takes a few seconds, not long.
With the Air 2S also had a firmware update this week, and the other, I put all my other batteries in, and none of them asked for the firmware update. So
Yeah.
this is the second one in a row. Okay, so we're almost to the end of this list, Marcus. I'm going to try to hurry up and get through, and then we can
Yes.
kind of take some questions and get out of here. Let's see. Okay, I think we touched on this a little bit. Increases image sharpness of the telecam when shooting at a high magnifications.
Yeah, that'll be great. I can't wait to try that out because that one of the things that I quite frankly was disappointed in was that telephoto camera. It even in just the 7x zoom, which is the native uh, rate of that telephoto camera, it looked a little soft to me, Ron. I was never
Yeah, I agree. Even just the 7X, which is supposedly optical, still did not look
right.
optical to me.
Yeah, so let's hope that they've sharpened that up and it looks better. Now the thing is, let's be realistic. At a 28 times crop on that smaller sensor, it isn't going to be perfect. It just won't.
Even at 14, it's not going to be perfect, but
Right.
at least 7 could be. At least 7 could look as sharp as, I don't know, standard
It
camera
should.
or something. Yeah.
It should look good.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, now here's another one here. Optimizes image area for time lapse photo. I don't know what optimizes image area means.
Yeah, that's another one that I got no clue either. And you know what, Ron? I have not tried a time lapse with the Mavic 3 yet. Have you?
Yeah, I have it. It works. It works. Wait a minute. Do we have time? I think we only have hyperlapse, right?
Oh,
I
that's
know people get confused, but I think we may only have hyperlapse. But
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know
Possibly.
what that means, and I'm not sure we've had time lapse until now. So
Oh, that could be. That
yeah,
could very well
yeah,
be.
we don't have much
Yeah,
comment on this one.
and I'm like you, Ron. I tend to think of those two terms as interchangeable.
Yeah,
But if I think about hyperlapse, that's while the drone is
it's
moving, right?
moving. Yeah,
Right.
right. With the
And
time lapse, is it just sits in one spot.
yeah,
So
so if we think that through, could it be? This is just conjecture that they're able to stabilize. You're in time lapse, and you know how the drone naturally will move just a little
yep,
bit.
yep, yep,
I
yep.
wonder if it's a way to stabilize that so it's a more stable looking time lapse.
Oh, that would be real nice. That
Yeah,
yeah. It would be just like you have your regular camera on the ground on a
sitting on a
tripod where there's no
tripod,
movement. Yeah,
right?
yeah. That would be that would be a nice ad. So let's hope that that is it. Okay. Next bullet point: add support for the RC Pro to output clean HDMI footage. So that what they're talking about there is you could hook your RC Pro up to your big screen TV and pump the video right in that big screen and output clean. I don't know. I've never tried it, so I don't know the difference between clean and not clean
Well,
footage.
okay, I got an idea. I don't know if it's the fact, but I have an idea, Ron. So if you're a professional, often you will want while you're flying your drone, you will want to have an auxiliary display.
Right.
Could be an iPad for your customer to be able to see what you're doing with the drone. So
Oh, and the clean is they don't have to see all the on-screen data you're looking at.
that's where I was going with it. Yeah,
I
they
think
wouldn't
I
see the
think you
data.
hit the nail on the head there, Marcus.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I think that's it. That's good for pros. Okay, another bullet point. Add support for the RC Pro, the cache video, and download original video to an external SD card. So yeah, I guess they mean in real time because you could move a file, you can move your video files over to an SD card. Currently, uh
Yeah, I'm not sure.
yeah,
It
not
says it
not
streams it to it though, right? So isn't that what
uh,
it said? So I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, not
I don't
not
know. You
not
got
sure
me on
about
that
that.
one.
Yeah, it's something that I external SD card. I use the drone's SD card. It's something I don't, probably something more that professionals would use. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about here, so I won't really say it anymore. And here's another thing that's not in the bullet point here. If you do have the RC Pro, here's the big one, folks. Are you sitting down? It adds support for the Air 2S now.
Yeah, I saw some questions in the chat about that. So yeah, and that's a big deal to a lot of folks. And if you invested in that RC Pro, you'd want it to work with all your drones if you could, as many drones as you could. So
Yeah, yeah. Hey, let me get a little house cleaning out of the way here too. What we're talking about here, folks, if you want to get your pens and paper out, this is the fly. This is the I'm giving you iOS numbers. They could be the same for Android. I do not know. I don't have any Android except for the smart controller. It's the DJI Fly app version 1.5.8, and it's a 454 megabyte file. And this is firmware number 01.00.0500, and it's a 385.5 megabyte file. And you can either use the DJI Fly app to to update yourself, or you can use the DJI Assistant 2 on your computer.
how did you do it, Ron? Did you do the assistant too, or did you do it through the app?
I always do it to the app. I know a lot of people claim that the assistant's better because if you, of course, you have internet outage or anything. But I try to do it the way most people do it, so I could talk, I could speak to it. So I do it through the app, even though I'm not saying doing it through the app's better. I'm just saying I do it that way because
Right.
most of my followers do it through the app, so I want to be able to help them.
Yeah, that's what I did as well. So I did the
Yeah,
same thing
yeah.
through via the over OTA over the app.
Did you see any questions out there we need to address now that I'm done?
Not
Oh, here,
particularly.
here, AZ Drone Dude. He probably put this up before I got to mention it. Yeah, yeah, AZ. It is. Well, I haven't tested yet, and I probably won't get to test today because I'm going to be too busy test flying the Mavic 3. But in the next couple of days, I will test the Air 2S on the RC Pro.
Right. And I see Bluegrass Drone Guy is saying that his iPad 11 Pro is not compatible with the Fly app. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder why, because that's a that's only one generation old iPad,
Yeah,
so
that's
it makes
interesting.
no sense that it would be incompatible from I don't know, not being obviously has a strong enough processor and everything in it. So, well, I wonder what my old iPad Mini 5, if the 11 Pro is not compatible, what's that mean for my older Mini?
Time to upgrade to that Mini 6, Ron.
Yeah. Oh, well, I already upgraded to the RC Pro.
There you go. See, you don't even need it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But if my iPhone 13 Pro doesn't work with it,
we're
DJI,
all in trouble then.
I'm returning my Mavic 3.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, I can't answer that, but I can't believe it. If it won't work now, they won't fix that. The iPad 11 not
yeah.
working.
And
The Pro.
so John is talking about his Mini 4, and I'll tell you, John, my Mini 4, I mean, way back a year ago, I started getting that CPU overload notice on it. So yeah, I think you're in trouble with the Mini 4.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you flew with the Mini 4, you turned every single feature off. If you flew 1080p 30 and didn't do anything except just
Yeah,
fly the
possibly.
drone. Oh, but here it is. Here it is, Mark and John. What killed the Mini 4 is almost all YouTube, especially reviewers and stuff, want to do screen recordings, and the Mini could not screen record and fly the drone at the same time
Yeah,
more than a year ago, or whatever. So it may still work if you don't screen record.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, Jazz MB Flat says still support waypoints, and yeah, I think we mentioned that we did not see waypoints anywhere in the description, and we already covered that the DJI is notoriously slow to add waypoints even to their professional, prosumer drones. The Mavic 2 Pro got waypoints almost a year later than when it first came out. The Air 2S, Mini 2 don't have waypoints, so DJI is not a big, supporter of waypoints, anything but they're really high-end professional drones. So hopefully it's coming, but I wouldn't expect it anytime soon.
Yep, I agree.
And Chuck points out the light is there now. Yep, Chuck, and I've already turned it on. Yep, yay. Bluegrass. My iPhone 13 Pro Max works perfect, but couldn't get the iPad 11 Pro to connect to call DJI. Told me it's not compatible. Yeah. Hopefully that's not what they meant. Not compatible right now. Hopefully in the future it will be. I mean, I don't see any reason why it would not be, unless the only thing I could think of, well, no, the 11 Pro doesn't have the M1 chip. It still has, the an iPhone type of a processor in it, so that makes even less sense.
Yeah. I see John Coopy is saying that speculating that perhaps the reason that they're not messing with waypoints is legal reasons. I don't know.
Chuck saying go to the pro settings, you'll see the LUT on off where yeah, I've seen it, Chuck, and I've already turned mine on when I go in actually D-Log, he said decentralized. Yeah, he used his Bluegrass uses Pro with the M2 Pro and the Phantom. And yeah, John's point here. Yeah, I don't know because they, again, the Mavic 2 Pro did eventually add waypoints, and it worked well, but the reason, again, we already talked about this, the reason that it's important that DJI adds like waypoints is so when the SDK kit comes out, all the mapping people can put waypoints in for the Mavic 3 and use it professionally. Hey, Marcus, while we're here, can we do a quick promo for John? He is now on a show on the Geek network of shows. They do an FPV show. Do they do that weekly, Marcus, or is that
it's weekly? I believe. Yeah, isn't that right, John Coopy? And they got some pretty cool stuff going on. John is actually going to walk Sean Geeksvana through a drone build. So that'll be fun.
Live and uncut, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what day of the week that comes on?
That's on Thursdays, I believe. John, put the
Okay.
time in the chat if you wouldn't mind. I don't remember exactly what time.
Chuck says the Fly app is better now.
Yeah, I mean I like the Fly app. I know it gets a lot of complaints from people, but I think they've improved a lot of the things. Uh, even the manual mode now, where you have the rollers at the bottom of the screen. I just think that's very convenient and easy to do. But
Yeah.
beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I know everybody has a little different idea of how they'd like to see things.
Jazz is pointing out that the Phantom 4 and the Mavic 2 Pro both support waypoints. So if it's a legal thing, it's a recent legal thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean it. Well, I would think it's more that maybe they're worried about automated flight. Although I don't know, they give us all those other automated flight modes. So
John just
yeah,
corrected himself here.
I don't know.
Ortho, did the Mavic 3 support waypoints? Not yet. Hopefully, but I wouldn't suspect anytime soon.
Yeah,
Just based on past history.
But to answer John Coopy, yes, the Mavic 2 Pro and Zoom, this has been a couple years ago, had a big update where they added waypoints. But John, one of the criticisms of that system was that it wasn't as comprehensive as a lot of people would have liked.
John's saying the show's bi-monthly. Actually, at the moment, we don't have a set time at the moment. Okay, so just subscribe over there to Geek Spana and for updates on when the shows are coming out. So apparently it's funny. I think we poo-poo waypoints a little bit in the chat. It's a very hot topic. So I guess that DJI is kind of ignoring a part of their user base. In other words, we talk about, what's the app we talk about that does fly waypoints?
Oh, the Litchi app.
The Litchi app. We talk about the Litchi app, and really DJI supports the Litchi app by holding back.
Yeah.
I mean, they drive customers to the Litchi app because Litchi's smart enough to know there's a market for this, and DJI either knows or doesn't care.
Well, they choose not to for some reason. I mean, that's got to be pretty clear. Certainly, they have the technical ability that I'm sure they could do whatever they wanted. And the other thing that I'll add, and you know this, Ron, a lot of these really cheap toy drones that I review sometimes, they all have some kind of a waypoint feature on them. So can't be that.
Of course, we'd be awful disappointed if the Mavic 3 added the bare bones waypoints that some of those toy drones have.
They would get so much criticism over that.
Yeah. And Jazz makes a point: it's too expensive a drone not to support waypoints, and I'm sure, especially all the pros out there are saying the same thing. So So but I would like to concentrate more today, Marcus, on what they did add than what they didn't add.
Yeah. Hey, I just want to mention one more thing. I see Chris Sunrise Water Media says that we've never seen waypoints on the Fly app, and I absolutely agree with that.
Oh, that's Chris. That's a great point. Yep, great point. All the other waypoints from DJI came on the Go app, so maybe it's a programming issue at this point.
Yeah.
But you know what? Even though waypoints isn't in something like the Air 2S, the Air 2S has the ability, what is it, in a hyperlapse, for the drone to go to specific spots.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah. Right. That's right, Ron. Now you say that it doesn't have waypoints is wrong, isn't it?
Because I mean, they never say the word waypoints.
They don't say the word
waypoints. The wording is never in there, but during a hyperlapse of the Air 2S,
you certainly
can program it to fly the various points throughout the hyperlapse. So in other words, it's deep in the code there.
Yeah, you'd think they could do that easy enough.
Chuck's having tough time transition from the Go forward to the Fly app, but it's going to be better now. So,
I mean, it's different, right? And I was kind of I think we all kind of went through that because we were all so familiar. The Go 4 app was an evolution of the Go app, and so it was, that was easy. And now this Fly app was completely different, but it's been around for a couple of years now, so I'm kind of getting pretty used to it. In fact, I think if I had to go back to the Go 4, I'd probably get a little confused. Of course, I'm easily confused.
I mean, I haven't flown my Mavic 2 Pro recently, but maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and it was like just riding a bicycle. You just get out and you just used it. So
Yeah, it
uh,
all comes back to you.
yeah. So anyhow, we've already gone 47 minutes here, possibly. So I think we've kind of got the basics out here to get everybody started on their updates of whatever the numbers they need, where they get the updates from. John has one more question here. Is it I probably want to Spark have waypoints to go for up? When I saw my Spark, it did not have waypoints of any type in the Go for app. I forget the Mavic Pro one.
Yeah, I can't remember in the original Mavic Pro if it had them or not. I honestly don't remember.
I can tell you that when I sold the Spark, which is almost over 2 years now, it did not have any waypoints in the Go Forward. But anyhow, what I want to, before we leave here, I do want to promote that the DroneNation show will be on at 9 p.m. tonight, Eastern Standard Time. And we will cover this even in more depth. And hopefully, Marcus and I will have our first flights in with the updated app. And we're trying to bring a big name YouTuber in who is a big DJI fan. And hopefully he has an update in to even share more. So 3 people sharing flight experience. I don't believe DeMarco has the Phantom 3, Mavic 3 yet. So, I don't think he'll have a flight in yet.
Yeah. So what are your plans, Ron? You just going to go out to the shore and throw
Yeah, I'll
just
go to one of my safe spots where I fly all the time. Like you said,
right.
well, I know the territory and there's nobody around. So if anything would go wrong, nothing would be hurt except the drone.
Yeah, my intention is to run out to the canyon, but depends on the weather. So
Same thing.
we'll
You're
see.
going to an area where if something went wrong, the only thing to be hurt would be the drone.
There, yeah. There you go. The canyon is just a fun place to do that at. Although I can tell you already, I know it's supposed to be kind of a dreary day, so the lighting won't be all that great, but we'll be able to try out a lot of those features.
Well, just put it in D-Log and fix it and make it look like it's the best day of the year in post.
Yeah, well, you'll have to teach me how to edit, Ron.
Well, that's just kind of a joke. People think that just because you edit, you could turn bad video into good video. No.
Not the
All
case.
you could do is take good video and make it even a little bit better. Bad video, there's not much hope for it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody for popping in with us in the in the chats here. Oh, and David put a comment here. I believe you could fly this Spark in waypoints in a third-party app such as Lychee, but not in the DJI Go Forward, because he mentions the SDK supported them. So, I believe I have tried it with the Lychee app, because I used to fly the Spark with the goggles, putting the phone inside the what do you call the goggles, like you watch movies and stuff in or whatever. So, but anyhow, we're on the way out the door here. So again, I want to thank everybody who popped in. This is unannounced. We just
last minute deal
last night, and I hope this video helps somebody get started along their journey to getting their Mavic 3 updated. And again, the first 3 things I'm testing are the issues: the slow satellites, the the crooked horizon, and of course I'll check for connection issues, even though I did not have them previously.
We'll all be looking at all that stuff. So let's hope that those kind of things that have been bothering people are resolved once and for all.
Yes. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us this early in the morning, Marcus. I know you had to probably skip your morning coffee to jump on the show here with us. So we will let you start your regular Monday morning routine over there at the Idaho Quadcopter Network of shows.
10-4 on that one, Ron.
All right.
As you can see, I'm charging a nano battery here as well. So
yeah, you're gonna have to fly multiple drones today. So folks, don't forget tonight it's gonna be a good show, and we're in a subscriber drive now. So please, if you don't know that we have a live show Monday nights, please follow the link that however you got in here. Subscribe to our DroneNation channel. Hit that bell notification button so you'll know when the videos come out. And folks, we only put one video out a week, basically Monday nights, but we will, and that's a live video, but we will try to add more videos this year going forward to the channel. Maybe not necessarily more live videos, but more recorded videos. We want to give you more content than just that one Monday night show a week. But we're on a big drive to try to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's going to open us up to you being able to use the full gambit of YouTube features. But right now we're handicapped, like we're a small, like, we are a small channel, but a small channel. We don't have a lot of functionality on there. So please help us get to that 1,000. I mean, if you have 2 YouTube channels, subscribe to us on both of them. If you have friends, families, relatives, get them to subscribe. I mean, again, we only want to get to 1,000. We don't care if you have 1,000 or 10,000, 20,000. Just 1,000 mark unlocks features for us. After that, you can stop subscribing, just watch.
1,000 is important.
Yeah. So, all right, folks, enjoy your day and join us tonight. And I hope everybody if you get a test flight in, please let us know tonight during the show. Good day,
night, everybody. Or good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, wherever you are.
Yeah.